400. You running your Lonestar?
What is going on, everybody? It is your boy Nothing But Skills, and today I'm bringing you another Division video. Today's video is going to be focused on what I consider to be one of the better underground builds to run. A lot of you guys had a lot of questions, and every time I used the Big Alejandro with the Lonestar, you guys are asking a lot of questions. So I decided to bring you this build so that way we can just answer all those questions in one build video. So the first thing you're going to notice is my primary firepower is 276,000. My toughness is 421,000. My skill power is 142,000. That's firearms of 6,691, stamina 5,335, and electronics of 4,000. To get into the build first, we're going to talk about what the Lonestar 6-piece does. Set 2 bonus gives you 100% ammo capacity. Set bonus 3 gives you LMG damage of 8% and shotgun damage of 8%. Set bonus 4, Lonestar, when the weapon is holstered, it is instantly reloaded. Set bonus 5 gives you an additional 50% ammo capacity, an additional 12% LMG damage, and an additional 12% shotgun damage. So just getting that extra 12% LMG damage, that's a total of 20% LMG damage you get for running a 5-piece. Now, which makes this build is the set bonus 6 Berserker. When a weapon has 50% of its magazine remaining in combat, there's a 75% chance to receive a bonus that activates when the final bullet is fired from the current magazine. Once activated, the magazine is instantly refilled. Weapon damage and rate of fire is increased by 30%. The bonus is canceled by reloading, swapping weapons, or exiting combat. Now, to kind of summarize what Berserker is, it's like if you had a mini tac link, and if you pair that up with a high rate of fire LMG, this build just melts. So now that we know what Lonestar does, let's get into my gear set. So for the chest piece, it's rolled stamina, it has health, skill haste, and ammo capacity. The mods I'm running are electronics mods with skill haste. For the mask, it's rolled stamina. Major attribute is critical hit chance. Minor attribute is damage to elites. Now, since I use this build more for PvE than PvP, I try to stack as much damage to elites as I could and then have as much critical hit chance. For the knee pads, the rolled firearms, they have skill power, burn resistance, damage to elites, and blind death resistance. You could stack critical hit damage on here, but I chose to put a little bit more skill power so that way I get a bigger heal and my immune box works a little bit better. For the backpack, it's rolled firearms, it has critical hit damage and disrupt resistance. I really recommend stacking as much critical hit chance and critical hit damage on this build as possible just because you're using an LMG. The mods are firearm mods with skill power and then performance mods with first aid self-heal. For the gloves, the roll skill haste, LMG damage, and critical hit chance. If I really had a choice at another pair of Lonestar gloves and I had critical hit damage over skill haste, I wouldn't mind using those for PvP, but for PvE, I really like having the extra skill haste. For the holsters, roll critical hit chance, and like I told you before, I'm trying to stack as much critical hit chance on my LMG since it doesn't naturally have a lot of critical hit chance. The mods are performance mods with first aid self-heal. For the weapons, I'm running a Big Alejandro that gives me 20% damage to target out of cover. Now, I do have one that has 22% damage to out of cover, but I just haven't fully optimized this one. This one is my PvE one because it has ferocious damage against elite and named enemies is increased by 10%. It also has destructive. Armor destruction value is increased by 15% when using this weapon. And the best talent in the game currently for LMGs is cover shooter. Every bullet fired from an enemy from cover increases weapon damage by 0.5% up to 50%. The bonus lasts 10 seconds. Getting a kill with this weapon while cover resets the duration. So that means those 10 seconds can keep going on as long as you keep getting kills. The bonus damage is canceled by reloading, swapping weapons, or exiting combat. That's why when you're using cover shooter and Berserker goes off and you'll just keep melting through the NPCs. Now for my secondary, it's another Big Alejandro, but this is more PvP focused. It has 22% damage to target out of cover. It has deadly critical hit damage is increased by 15%. It has unforgiving. Missing health segments increase your damage. One missing segment gives you 10% extra damage. Two missing segments give you 25% extra damage. And then of course it has cover shooter. The mods I'm running on each weapon are pretty much the same. Reflex sight with 7% critical hit chance, 4% critical hit damage, 5.5 headshot damage. a loud vent break with 18% critical hit damage, 6% headshot damage, and 3% critical hit chance, and an extended mag with 120% magazine size, 3% critical hit chance, and 4% critical hit damage. So for my secondary Big Alejandro, the reflex sight has 7% critical hit chance, 4% critical hit damage, 5.5 headshot damage. I have a suppressor on this one. It has 18% critical hit damage, 3% critical hit chance, and 6% headshot damage, and then an extended mag with 120% magazine size, 3% critical hit chance, and 4% critical hit damage. In the underground, I like using the directive of shock ammo. So I like having an immune box. It comes back every 25 seconds. And then I like having an overdose for a heal. And this is going to heal me for 144,000. And it comes back every 38 seconds. Now, if I'm not running the underground and I don't need an immune box for the shock ammo, I can always put on a flame turret. I can run a pulse. It really just depends on what mission I'm running and what skills I'm going to run. But for the underground, I love running an immune box just because I won't get shocked and I don't have to worry about shocking myself by holding the trigger down too long. And then of course, having a nice heal. For the talents, since in PvE I usually running in a group, I run triage, heal an ally with a skill to reduce skill cooldowns by 15%, critical save, use a medkit during low health to increase damage resistance by 20% for 10 seconds, and then of course strike back, reach low health to reduce active skill cooldowns by 20%. So just having that little bit of extra skill haste and then using these talents is going to help my skills come back just a little bit faster. And then the last talent I like running with LMGs is steady hands, anti-enemy cover to reduce recoil by 25% for 10 seconds. Now, if we go into the character, you're going to see my critical hit chance on my LMGs is 27% and my critical hit damage is 59%. Now, that will be a little bit more with the LMG that has deadly on it. The headshot damage is 112%, damage to a leech is 33%, and enemy armor damage is 15%. My skill haste is 24%, my max health is 286,000, and my armor mitigation is almost 32%. Now this gear set is not fully optimized at all. I'm using my division tech for my PvP builds. Since I use this build more for PvE, I don't feel like fully optimizing at this moment, but the armor mitigation of 32% isn't too bad. So this pretty much wraps up my video. This is one of my favorite PvE builds to run. I run this about 50% of the time, and the reason why is when I run underground, I can swap back and forth with my LMGs, the Big Alejandros, and they put in a lot of work. Now, if you don't have two Big Alejandros, you can do this with the MG5s. RPMs on those two LMGs is really good. Now, if you want to run this for PvP, you can. I've done it before. The only thing I would recommend you doing on the knee pads, instead of skill power, run critical hit damage. On the gloves, if you can get critical hit damage where the skill haste is, and then if you have skill haste on the chest piece like I do, exotic damage resilience will probably be a lot better to help you combat that burn and that bleed that you get from predators. And that's pretty much it, guys. If you guys still have any questions on this build, let me know in the comment section. If you're new to my channel, this is the first time you're watching a video, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up. Remember, if you don't see me in Last Stand, if you don't see me in Skirmish, if you don't see me in the Dark Zone, it's only a matter of time. Nothing but skills is out. Dang. There's another one over there somewhere. I think there's one upstairs. Yeah, they're both upstairs.
It won't be just one remedy.
But I can't. Oh, I got that one. Oh, yeah. Yo, and I got this. Yo, I don't know how I got that, but I think I finished it.